The Evil Within 2 concluded its story with all of the loose ends tied up. Mobius has been globally annihilated, Sebastian has Lily, Kidman's gone her own separate ways, and Ruvik is out of the equation. So what exactly could happen to cause another sequel to be developed? But then we get this cutscene after the final game, which shows some kind of reinitialization of STEM. Now, I know this is a very surprising reveal, and a lot of people would have seen this. Now, I will say, although it's striking that the computer is reinitializing, take note of the room itself. Based on the angles that we're given, it's hard to tell whether this is the old room in which Ruvik was hosted in, or whether this is the new room in which Lily was hosted in. I can't really discover which one. It seems like the room has been abandoned for a long time. As you can see, there is rust everywhere, the lights are flickering as if the generator's failing, as well as the fact that there is cobwebs developing along the machinery. This definitely implies that it has been a few years since the Evil Within 2 concluded, and some organization or individual has started to reinitialize the STEM system. So that means they must have a new core, or there is one that was currently in place. Now, this video will be going over this entire theory and providing a thorough analysis for this subject, so I hope you're looking forward to it, because as always, there's a lot of juicy stuff we can get from it. So without any further ado, let's get right into it as always. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the possibility of who is the core, because honestly a lot of people are going to jump to the conclusion that Ruvik's back. However, I do want to go over things here. Now, if you guys remember the intro to The Evil Within 2, we saw the container that has Lily inside, and on the exterior it has 005A painted on there. Now that seems to me to be a registration number, which is a direct implication that there has been other cores. Now, if we assume that Ruvik was the first, it would be likely to assume there has been 3 cores in between. Now, this defunct facility that does not contain any bodies at all, it is very probable that this might actually be a different core separate from Lily's, and maybe this was a test or beta up to the stable core that Lily provided. And considering it's been years since the events of Evil Within 2 concluded, the state of such an environment is to be very questionable. This leaves us with a very prominent question, and that is, who exactly is controlling this new STEM environment and initialized it all back up? And so we've got a few criteria that need to be filled. First up is knowledge of the STEM facilities, which is basically owned by Mobius, and so these will be warehouses and buildings that are probably far out in the middle of nowhere. Secondly is they'll have to have a good understanding of how all of the STEM environment works. And thirdly, they'd have to have a desire to actually create this kind of new virtual world for whatever intentions and purposes that they have so. Now, as I said earlier, Ruvik is one of the obvious conclusions that people are going to come to, and I can understand why. He will still have a desire to be in the STEM environment. That was his life's work, and it's not exactly as if his goal would have changed. He also has the expertise and knowledge and knows how to manipulate the STEM environment very well. It's not really a stretch to say, considering that he is basically the connoisseur who created the entire system, that he knows it the best. Now, the second theory I actually have is that Mobius is still around in some capacity. Now, I'm sure many people can agree with me actually that the administrator didn't really give off the vibes of being the ultimate director, this person that's got a global organization with the hands in many governments, police departments, and also institutions with much worldwide funding, enough to create these super science projects, fund many individuals, and apparently do all sorts of illegal and corrupt actions. It's just the administrator was a little bit intellectually dumb. He kind of let Myra slip right past him, Kidman as well, and on top of that, he wasn't really creating any failsafe systems. He was not monitoring Kidman's communications, for example, nor did he actually remove his own chip or just never have it implanted in the first place, knowing that all sorts of bullshit can actually happen. So this leads me to believe that there might be an executive director panel above the administrator, and they didn't have the chip in because they were smart enough to consider that this sort of thing would happen. You would assume, knowing how much control that chip has over the brain, the ability to rewrite memories among other things, that having it inside your own brain is a little bit stupid. If you were going to go into STEM, you'd only do it once everything had been finalized and the entire plan had been executed flawlessly, and then you manually enter yourself, right? So it's possible that a few years after, Mobius has started to rebuild all of their organization because of course all of their foot soldiers were lost. And the third theory, which is a far stretch, is that sometime after all of Mobius had died, and you've got to remember this would have been a worldwide incident. There were a lot of Mobius operatives and individuals, as you can see that influence obviously stretches worldwide, and so with all of these people dying at once, I'm sure some people and organizations would have started trying to find out the truth behind this, and maybe somebody, an unknown third party at this point, stumbled upon the Mobius facilities and started to research exactly what was going on there. Regardless of who is going in, they can choose themselves as a core, and we have other potential cores as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly culminates here, and I'm sure this will be DLC content if anything, although there is a possibility this might just be a setup for the Evil Within 3. Now, one last thing I want to talk about is because it is a whole new STEM environment, and considering that Sebastian, Lily and Kidman might not exactly be aware of what's going on, considering they don't really have GPS and CCTV over the facility, and this has been years since the incident, maybe there will just be some new protagonist that is introduced to the hellhole that is this new STEM environment. Somebody fresh to the series, and this will give us again a fresh perspective on somebody who just does not know what the hell is going on and is freaked out by absolutely everything. They could also make this go in some interesting directions by giving us a character with a little bit of an unhealthy mental state, and we all know that that's a beautiful thing when you combine it with the STEM environment. Anyway guys, let me know what you think below about all of this. I'd like to hear what you guys think on this subject. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like and a subscribe. And as always guys, I hope you're having a beautiful day. Take it easy, and peace.